Laura.
Hi.
We
We've had some
finally made
technical
it.
difficulties. Yes. So, um, yeah, we're
Yeah.
just here. I was just trying to get the introductions done. So I just introduced myself. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
great.
First and foremost, thank you everyone so much for your patience. Thank you for, waiting for the 10 minutes for us to get through these technical difficulties. Really appreciate that. We will certainly make up the time and give you, as much time and as much value throughout our session today. So I won't spend too much time, but my name is Yauhan. I am a change management professional working for Deloitte. I'm also a career coach. I help a lot of students, a lot of new immigrants to Canada with their career journeys, defining their career roles, as well as setting them up for interviews and converting those interviews into offers. I'm also a facilitator and a coach with Devant, and I really look forward to today's session. So in terms of housekeeping, have you gone through this, Laura, with them or not yet?
We're just about to right now. So you can go ahead if you'd like.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. So all of you, we encourage you to turn on your cameras and your microphones. Would love to see you, would love for you to, unmute yourself, speak up if you have a question, raise your hand, if you want us to answer something for you. Let's make this as engaging as possible. It's not Laura and I just, sitting over here and presenting to you, but we want this to be very interactive. And that's how you'll get the most out of the session today. The session is being recorded and will be shared also by email with all of you. Of course, you can also use the chat feature. And we can certainly look at the chat, monitor the chat, and answer any questions, comments that you submit over there. And then, we have a lot of future workshops coming up, and that you can find under the events tab on the Devant website.
Perfect. I'll go ahead here. Okay. So yeah. We are going to start with just a warm up. So our winter advice. So what are you looking forward to this winter? Does anyone have any ideas? You can write us in the chat, or it would be better if you unmuted yourself. Let us know.
Yeah, have you guys, been in Canada for a while, and maybe you've experienced a few winters, or is this going to be like your first winter and you probably saw your first snowfall yesterday and today? Would love to hear. Okay, so we're getting a few comments coming in. So getting a new job, yeah, definitely. We've got enjoying the winter hockey, first winter in Canada. Welcome, Harman. That's going to be a very exciting experience for you. You experienced it last year, Christina. That's amazing. Skiing. Oh, wow. Gabriella, that's very nice to keep yourself busy during the winter, stay active. Webhub says Christmas, yes, Christmas, New Year is, just over a month away. I can't believe the year's almost gone by. Not excited for winter, says Tashin. That's perfectly fine as well. The cold weather is not everybody's cup of tea. Blue Mountain, yes, that's one of my favorite places, actually, Yoshita. So love Blue Mountain. Late night walks when it snows, absolutely, Hassan. Chanel says, first winter, yes, experiencing new cultures, environment. Welcome, Chanel. Nadeem says, World Cup 2022. So yes, the Soccer World Cup is going to start very soon. So I'm definitely excited for that. And skating as well. Graduating soon, hoping to get a job by Jan 2023. Absolutely. Saurav, I see you on camera. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so this is my first year. Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, so I'm preparing for the winter.
Yeah, I hope you've got your winter coat and mittens and everything ready with your snow boots.
Yeah, I'm well prepared for that.
Amazing, Saurav. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, so some of you are saying in the chat, getting ready to hopefully land your first job. by Jan. Jan and Feb are, very, very good months from a job market perspective. Typically, there's a lot of, companies who hire, who extend offers during those 2 months. December is somewhat slow. I mean, traditionally it has been because of obviously the holidays and, things slowing down for people taking vacations. But Jan, especially, the second week of Jan, things really jumpstart once again. So certainly take advantage of that. Okay, all right.
All right. So, yeah, we just want to hear from you, just to get us started. So, with your job search, did anyone have any wins this week, or any leads, or anything of that sort? Or has anyone like been applying many places?
Yeah, so I applied for an internship at PepsiCo,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, so I got a reply from them.
Oh,
That's it.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I think they're processing with that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's great. Thank you.
Sort of,
Any
do you want to share, what role with, because PepsiCo obviously very, very reputable company. Do you want to share what internship role, and did you apply certain strategies that helped you secure an interview?
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently pursuing my supply chain management postgraduate program.
Okay.
So I'm planning to get an internship on supply chain related industries. So
Okay.
I think PepsiCo is one of the biggest industry in supply chain in Canada, and so the position is like supply chain engineering. It's kind of procurement, material handling, planning. It's kind of mixed up with supply chain.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I tried with I searched on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn, and also some other sites like Glassdoor and Workopolis, all that. So yeah, I did my own research, and with the help of the student success advisors in my college, they helped me to create my resume. Also, let share some advice for how to approach the approach with the companies. And yeah, there's no much strategy I used. I did my own, and I do
Okay.
some research on Google.
Can you
That's it.
share with us one tip in terms of, you said approaching the company. So did you find out, who the hiring manager is and message them directly? Did you build a connection with, other interns working over there? What did you do?
Yeah, I actually I had an opportunity with a career fair from
Okay.
P4E career fair last month. So I met so many recruiters. So I connected through LinkedIn, and yeah, then I try to get their internal site, career site, and I try to apply directly. Then I
Okay.
try to connect with them through LinkedIn, like just let them know if there is a person like applying like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a powerful strategy. In my coaching, I always tell people if you just depend on one option, especially if it's just, applying for jobs through the online portals, it's really difficult, irrespective of how qualified you are, how good your resume is, how well it's tailored. So you always have to be a little creative,
Yeah.
right? Because, as Saurav was saying, um, you know applications is good, but that's just a starting point. You also have to think about, how do I get my application on the top of the pile, especially for companies like PepsiCo. They receive 200, 300 applications,
Yeah.
even if it's for internships, right? So how do you get yours in the top 5? Because at the end of the day, they don't call 200 people for an interview. They call typically about 5 people. And this is where, direct outreach to the person who is hiring
Yeah.
gives your resume that attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see people are typing in the chat. Okay, so there are some tips, Vaibhav, you would like to share. Do you want to come online on the camera and share it, or do you want to type it out? Either or, would love to hear from you.
Okay. Am I audible here?
Yes,
Okay, I don't know. My camera is not working. Sorry for that.
that's
It's
okay.
So
No
okay.
problem.
yeah, so I would like to add some. There are some tips that as you had covered, like related to resumes and all. That's like totally fine. I agree on that. Apart from that, like we had to never give up. What I feel that was even like I had applied for many company when I landed a part-time job in Canada, but the problem was like all other of my friends were struggling for the same job they were not getting. And apart from that, like right now it was the time for my co-op too, so I had to search for my co-op, but I landed a co-op, but still other friends are struggling. So even like you said, like resumes and all, that's like that is also that is the main thing. And apart from that, never giving up the attitude. That attitude should be remain consistently, because there are times when we feel like now everything is gone and nothing is coming on the way, and nobody is there sometime to guide us also. We feel like we can't share that problem even to our family members, not even to our coach, but only we have to face that particular thing as an individual. So I think, yeah, because like just applying most of the things, and yeah, definitely, but only applying won't come. But if your resume is on top, the strategy is on the top, and apart from that, we know the techniques of cracking the interview. Like I gave around 10 to 11 interviews, so I thought, like I started evaluating myself, like where I'm getting wrong and how I'm improving day by day. I started taking tips. Like my brother is also working in Photon Infotech in USA. He's a senior product manager. So he gave me tips like how you can, like what answer are you giving in the interview and how you should improve. Apart from that, when I was having the main interview, I took one demo session too. So in that demo session, there was one Canadian professor. So I thought of like taking the interview from her, because mostly the interviewer is going to be from Canada, and if that is a perspective, so I thought like taking a guidance in that scenario would be really great. And even I was doing one mistake, is that whenever I was giving the interview, my pace was very fast. So at that time, they told me like you should go very slow, so that at least the interviewer is able to understand what you're saying. And that thing I implemented in the main interview, so it landed me a job. So yeah, that's the thing. Never giving up attitude, and like taking the guidance. Guidance is the main thing, because at one point of time we feel like we know everything, but again we are lacking somewhere. That's the thing. Yeah. Thank you. That's the thing.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Weber. I love your point around resiliency. Especially as a newcomer, we don't have the luxury of, a big network, or, some of us leave family behind, friends behind, right? And it can feel very lonely. You can feel very isolated trying to do everything on your own. So definitely, get the guidance, get the support. Canadians are very friendly. So if you reach out to people and, ask them for their guidance and advice without being too overbearing on them, and asking too much, most people are more than willing to give you a few minutes of their time. Also think about, your warm network. So family, friends, your colleagues, students from school, your professors, right? You never know who you meet or who can help you. So don't ever discount, people in your immediate network, people you meet in grocery stores, in your gym, in your community. Talk to them, tell them, I'm in career transition, this is what I'm looking for. And I'm sure, if they can't help you, maybe they can connect you with someone who can help. Yeah, yeah. Any specific tip, Webhub? I know you did so many interviews, and I love how you've progressed and taken lessons from previous rounds to improvise and improve. You mentioned your pace, but in terms of the content, in terms of what you were saying, anything specific you want to highlight that really made a difference?
So I would be highlighting that, like in the behavioral interview, they were asking. So one question they had asked, like, tell me the time when you are going to do the task, and at that time your manager is not with you, but how you're going to handle the task. So I was
Okay.
giving a very general answer, like, yeah, I will handle the task, or without, like, I will handle the task according to the company rules and regulations. So this was the answer which I was thinking to give. And this was the interview which I gave. I was not selected for that. Then the same thing I asked with my brother too. So he told, like, you should not be giving a general answer. You should be very specific. And apart from that, another tip I would like to add is like adding the life instances where even the interviewer will feel like we are not faking that thing in the interview. At least we have done some work. Apart from that, certificate course matters a lot. Like, last year I did artificial intelligence, sorry, not art, machine learning I did. So I think that also it had added in the interview to, like, they had asked some question and I was able to answer. So yeah, that's this thing. And I think it's not impossible. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter from the inside, like how much we want to grow. And the networking thing which you told, networking and guidance should be, every time it should be evaluated. We should not feel like we know everything and all. But there are some times where we are not perfect. So that's the thing. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love those tips. So just so I capture this, for everyone on the call as well, two things, stood out to me in your answer. One is being authentic, right? So don't try to, make up things, because a lot of these recruiters are very seasoned, and they know when candidates are making up stuff, because you will either start talking very fast or you will take a lot of time to ponder over what you want to say, and they can easily detect that. And the other thing is being as specific as possible with your examples. That's amazing. Thank you, Evan. Anybody else?
So yeah, we do have someone who I'm talking to in the chat. They have a business degree. They're just trying to find different jobs and they don't really know where exactly to start. So right now, like part of the things we're talking about too is just like figuring out what this person's actually studied and specifically. So like business is a very broad field of study. So was it marketing, accounting? We just need to know that first. And then the next thing you have to figure out too is what do you actually want to do? So once you have some of those things figured out, that's when you can sort of start looking on Indeed for actual jobs. But those are kind of the first steps and things we need to know for sure.
So
And
some
what if, Laura, somebody doesn't know what they want to do? How would they approach that? They've got an undergrad degree, like this is a good example, like a business degree. Maybe they haven't specialized in either marketing or finance. And now it's like, I kind of like marketing, I like numbers, and I like finance as well. So how do I decide what would be best for me?
So networking, definitely, and reaching out to people for informational interviews so that you can
Yeah.
actually figure out like what the day-to-day is with the job. You can also get some ideas just vaguely from job posts too. So that's also a place to just sort of start. And then once you sort of think you might like it, then definitely the networking and informational interviews would be good.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, I also tell people, look back at, your studies, as well as, any kind of jobs or anything you've done from a project perspective. And what skills did you use over there, right? Did you use marketing skills? Did you use project management skills? And did you excel in using those skills, right? Typically, when you excel at doing something, you have a lot of confidence in doing that. And with confidence comes happiness, right? And your self-esteem gets boosted. And ideally, you want a job that aligns with, your superpowers, your strengths, which are also skills you're interested in using. So what I sometimes recommend is, if you are completely lost, you don't even know who to network with, you can type in some of your skills and your interest on LinkedIn searches or Indeed searches, and then click on jobs and see what kind of jobs come up, right? So for example, if you like helping people, you like facilitating workshops, training, so type in those keywords, and then you will get, jobs like coach or teacher or mentor or trainer, right? So you know that this is kind of, or if you like project management, you'll get, maybe business analysis, project coordinator. And then you network with, specifically those people. And of course, you need to have the qualifications for those types of roles as well. So then you have to decide, do I want to invest the time, the money to upskill myself? Because at the end of the day, employers will hire people who are qualified, right, in terms of education, certifications, experience. But just another tip, in addition to what Laura said about informational interviews.
Perfect.
So I saw somebody coming on camera as well, but I don't see her anymore. So whoever wants to ask questions, again, please, engage us in the chat, and you can come online on the camera as well. We can answer your
So
question.
can I ask one question? Suppose,
Sure.
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's like definitely I'm gonna face that in future. How to solve the bigger problem? So there'll be time, when the things won't be working according to my own perspective. But there can be some time like which is very gonna be very situation which is very unpredictable, and it's not good. Like sometime there will be recession thing, or maybe sometime the managers and all, they're not gonna cope up with my uh, perspective, whatever I wish. So how to solve that particular thing? And even if there has been, even I don't want to involve in that particular conflict, but some situation had happened like that, but even I've performed really well. So how to solve the bigger problem? That was my main perspective. Like, if you want, I can give an example, or you can share the answer. No worries. Definitely.
Yeah, if you could give, one specific example, I
Okay.
think we can give you a more definitive answer.
Okay. So suppose I'm going to start my co-op in the month of January. So January till April, I'm going to do my co-op, and after that, what will happen? Uh, I have the option of joining as a full time there. And in case if I join as a full time there, that's really good. But again, they are telling me to do a CPA course. So CPA course, definitely I'll go for it. In case if I'm not able to, if I'll try my best to clear it. In case if I'm not able to clear, they can say that, Babu, I think we should let you go, because that was a main criteria and becoming a manager, or maybe the becoming a senior manager. So, in that scenario, how to handle the situation, how to be in that particular, how to handle and how to convince, we can say, or how to see, how we can say manager that anyways I perform really well, so you can see my performance too, but you can also give me some other options. So even if managers and the partners are not able convincing in that sense, so how to solve that particular problem? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, first and foremost, when you join the company in Jan, really give it, your 100% in terms of
Okay.
your job and your performance. At the same time, look to also build some internal relationships with people,
Okay.
people in positions of influence that can get to know you and also get to see your work. And once that internship is done, and you don't have the CPA completed, which, doesn't seem like it will be, they will recognize, Vaibhav, that you've done good work for them. You have achieved, a few things in your short internship stint. And this is where they may be able to negotiate with you, saying, it's fine, you don't have it now, but we'll give you some more time. Or maybe you can take on this role for some time and then position into a manager role once you have the CPA. So you have that negotiating power once you demonstrate your credibility and your performance over there. But in addition to performance, the relationship part is so important.
Yeah,
Because
like
if
I'll be
people
joining
like you, they
KPMG,
trust
so
you.
that's isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, if they like and trust you, they will be willing to go out of their way to do things for you. So hope that helps.
Yeah, that's really important. Great tip. Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
so we have some people, most welcome. We have some people in the chat as well. So Gurnur says, I have an informational interview. So Laura, okay, you've responded. I would ask what a typical day looks like. Yes, yes. So really good point over here. What Laura is saying, keep it brief. Don't misuse people's time, especially if this is your first time talking to them. Let them know who you are, what you do, what is it that you're looking for, and stick to the value that you can offer, right? always position this also in terms of, asking them for advice and guidance. Informational interviews, the purpose of that is to collect information. That's why they're called informational interviews, right? For you to gather any guidance. So you can ask them, yeah, what does your typical day look like? What do you do day to day? What tools, softwares do you use? What are the top 3 to 5 skills that you use in your job, right? And then you can assess that against your profile to see, are you equipped to use those skills? You can also ask things like, what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy about your job? Are there certain things you don't enjoy? And that will give you a good perspective on, if they mention certain things they don't enjoy, and if you're going to, be a part of that team, you have to assess if, maybe you won't enjoy doing that as well, right? I know a lot of people, they take jobs out of desperation, but you really have to be clear on what is it that you want, what is important to you, and what are your non-negotiables. What I mean by non-negotiables is, I'm not willing to compromise that in order to get the job, right? So if they pay me minimum wage, I'm not ready to accept that. If they don't allow some flexibility with remote work, I'm not willing to accept that. I know as a student, you want to take on the job, you want to build that experience in Canada. So maybe your list of non-negotiables may not be very extensive, but always think about that in terms of, what really is important to you, because you want to take on a job that will, inspire you, challenge you, but also where you will enjoy working, as opposed to waking up every day and feeling like you really don't want to work there. All right, so I hope that helps. Gurnur.
They have another
Oh.
follow-up question as well, which I think is actually like really, really good. And it's, should I ask the recruiter to have a look at my resume? So you want to be very careful with that, because you're really just trying to get some information. You're not really, but you're not necessarily trying to apply for a job, so you don't want it to be too formal, right? So I would just say be careful. You definitely have to read the room, but typically I don't think you should show them your resume unless they sort of ask. And you can also, if you have them on LinkedIn, you can just say like, like I have a LinkedIn profile, I'd love to keep in touch, or something like that. But you just have to be really, really careful with that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Unless of course, they are an agency recruiter or a headhunter, because their job as a headhunter is to help you find a job. So even without you submitting, like they will ask you for the resume, right? So if it's an agency recruiter, definitely, present your resume and your profile. But if it's a corporate recruiter, I would say, work on building that relationship first, speak to your profile. And if they seem interested, you can always follow up with a copy of your resume. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
I have two.
Hi.
Yeah. I hope you all are doing well and warm at this time. I have two questions to ask. I'll just give background information of myself. I'm an international student in Canada. I arrived 1 month ago, and I'm doing my online schooling here. So before coming here, I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and I was working for 2 years in construction industry. And after coming here, and they have uh, uh, they have removed the 20 hours limit for international students, so we can work more than 20 hours. So I started applying for full-time jobs like in construction industry. And last week I got a call from one of the companies, and they asked after it was a call interview, and they asked a lot of questions. And to one question, I didn't have a reply, which was, "You have experience, but do you have any Canadian experience?" So I was like, "I don't have a I don't have Canada experience. Can I work experience?" And they said, "Your experience outside of Canada, that doesn't really matter in Canada." So I wanted to ask you, like, is this applicable to all the companies in Canada in the construction industry, or is it just for that particular company? Because I have 2 other interviews in the upcoming week. So that is one of my question. And the second question is how I can build my networking in Canada. Like in which platforms can I like join and build my networking? Because right now the people I know is just from my school and my class, and all of them are like me, like just starting out in Canada. So these are my 2 questions.
Yeah, Laura, do you want to answer any of them, or I want to make sure I give you a chance as well?
Oh, no worries. I just saw Gurnor just asked if experience outside of Canada is helpful, and yes, the answer is absolutely yes. So just yeah, if you have anything sort of related, even if it's not, they're sort of transferable skills, please put them on your resume. You can include them in your cover letter. They definitely matter and they count. So definitely don't be afraid to include those as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So in your case, I'm trying to find who was speaking. I think it was
It's me.
Shuhaib. Shuhaib, yeah, Shuhaib. So you had 2 questions, one around the Canadian experience. So as Laura was saying, yes, put on any experience that is relevant for that role. Now, the unfortunate thing is there are certain industries and professions in Canada that absolutely require you to have experience in Canada. So, for example, a lot of HR roles, especially human resources, business partners, generalists, they require you to have knowledge about the Canadian labor laws, right? Which obviously you cannot get unless you've worked in Canada or you've worked with Canadian clients from your home country. So, and there are certain ones in finance and accounting, also in construction, Shoaib. But we cannot change that, right? You cannot now get Canadian experience without getting a job over here. But what you can do is, if you have the chance to interview, you can tell them that, based on what I understand, these are the requirements, right? So you're looking for someone who's worked in the construction industry, which I have. You're looking for someone with project management skills, which I have. You're looking for someone with, good communication skills, building relationships, working with stakeholders, working with vendors. And I have done all of that in my previous roles. Yes, it has not been in Canada. However, everything that I, have done can be very easily transferred to this specific role. And I am known to be a very quick learner. So if you give me the opportunity, I certainly will pick up, the quote unquote Canadian way of doing the exact same thing. And I think a lot of people, if they believe in your skills and your experience, they will give you that opportunity.
Just don't discount it completely. That's a really important thing. I think people come in and they think, oh, since it's not specifically Canadian in every aspect, that it doesn't count or doesn't matter, but it really does. So just make sure to highlight it. But yeah, as Yauhan was saying, some Canadian aspects have to be there, but just definitely don't discount everything.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And I hope I answered your question. Did you have another question?
Yeah, the other question was about networking.
Networking. Yes. So
Which
in terms
platform?
of platforms, hands down, LinkedIn, from a professional job search perspective, is your best bet with regards to, a platform. Now, the thing is, not everybody uses LinkedIn. Not everybody is active on LinkedIn. Although I would say, a lot of people in Canada, especially, hiring managers, professionals, recruiters, are on LinkedIn. In fact, 95% of the jobs, I'm talking about the professional jobs, are recruited through LinkedIn. So, but here's the thing, before you start connecting and networking, you have to take the time to update your profile. So create a good, strong profile with a nice professional picture, a good banner, update your headline, your about section. So take some time to really create a powerful profile. So when you send that request to network, first impressions matter a lot. right? And you want to make sure your profile is complete, so you create that powerful first impression. In terms of who to network with, network with people in your profession. Network with people who have jobs that you aspire to have. At the same level, maybe even one level above you. Network with recruiters who are hiring for your positions, right? LinkedIn has many filters where you can slice and dice how you search for people. So you can type in the profession, you can type in, the location, and really narrow it down. Also network with people from your school, network with people who've graduated from your program in the recent past, because they can provide you with good perspectives on, how they navigated the job search, right? So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Most welcome. Christina has a question. You're targeting UI, UX positions, entry-level position. How much of the job posting is really expected? Yeah, great question, Christina. So job postings can be very, very vague sometimes, and you will see more often than not for entry-level position, they say, they require 3 to 5 years of experience. So how does that really become entry-level? I would say, Christina, as long as you feel comfortable and confident that you are able to perform, at least 60, 70% of the responsibilities, I would give that job a shot and I would apply for it. Now, if you don't have the formal experience in Canada, definitely your projects, your academic projects, your extracurricular projects, they all count for experience. If you have volunteered, that counts for experience. If you have, helped an association with something in your field, that counts for experience. If you've helped a friend with something, anything that is relevant to UI, UX design, if you've designed a website for yourself, that is experience in itself, right? So don't discount anything, think creatively outside of, where have I gained the skills, the experience in UX, UI design, and then put that on your resume, and then highlight that obviously in your conversations as well. So I hope that helps.
And I have another question regarding to that. So in entry-level position, were you left alone to do the task, or is there always someone who will be guiding you, since it's an entry-level position? And for most people, you have zero experience in this field. I have work experience in other field, but in this position, I am totally an entry level with zero experience. So the only experience I have is academic projects.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I would say, especially for entry level positions, most employers understand that, this is probably your first job out of school, and you don't have that quote unquote formal experience besides, the projects and the knowledge you've gained through that. I would say if you can, try to see how you can get that experience, right? Like I said, whether that is, helping a colleague or a friend with a UX UI design, or, maybe reaching out to your network or to people who may need that help. So taking on a project to give you that hands-on experience is always important, is always good, because you can then also put that on your resume and speak to that. But if you are not able to do that, then you can certainly tell them that, I have a drive and a passion for UX, UI design. I'm also a quick learner. So, I've been in positions in the past where I didn't know. However, I was able to still learn quickly and perform the job successfully. And I'm sure I can do the same for, this specific role as well.
Okay, thank you. But
Yeah.
another question, sorry. In terms of like reaching out to, for example, I want to reach out to an HR personnel in a certain company. What are the approaches? I mean, how do I approach that person?
Why do you want to reach out to HR?
Like, for example, I want to apply personally and like get connected to them. Is that possible, or is it like not a good idea?
It is possible. However, I would recommend instead of HR, because see, HR, unless they are in, talent acquisition or recruitment, they would not even know about the job posting.
Oh, I
Now,
see.
yeah, because HR does not mean recruiters. HR is a broader function. And then within HR, you have specifically people with like talent acquisition or recruiter or recruitment coordinator titles, who are the people who fill those positions. Now, in bigger companies, they have hundreds of people recruiting, right? So you will see like 100 different recruiter names. For example, where I work right now for Deloitte, we have, a few hundred recruiters hiring for all kinds of roles. So if you reach out to a recruiter, they'll be like, I'm not recruiting for that role, right? Recruiters also typically are not very responsive. And the reason for this is because they're typically filling, like 10, 20 positions at one given time.
Yeah.
And there are so many applications coming in. What I would recommend, Christina, is trying to find out who the hiring manager is. Okay, so let's say it's a UX, UI design, like analyst role. So that analyst position will probably report into a supervisor or a manager, right? So try to find out who that person is and then reach out to that person saying, I noticed you have an open role. This is my profile. This is why, I feel my skills are a good fit. Would love the opportunity to discuss the role further, right? Like something along those lines. And I would say also, if you don't get traction with them, reach out to some people working as UX designers at that organization.
Okay.
And then they can possibly connect you with the right people.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, most welcome. So would speaking other languages be good to put on the resume? Yes, Ehsan. So I think they do. I think they definitely would be, good to put in terms of languages, more so for certain roles than others. But overall, if you're asking, broadly speaking, if you speak, 2 or more languages, especially, French, I would certainly put that on. And then somebody said, may I ask a question? Definitely go ahead, ask your question. And Gary asked, can you tell me how to make a perfect Canadian resume? Okay. I can spend 1 hour talking about this, but I'll give you a very quick and hopefully, a valuable answer to this, Gary. With regards to a Canadian resume, I mean, there are lots of templates out there. So, you can grab a template from Devant. We've got lots of templates on the bootcamp as well. But online, there's several templates as well. I would say keep your template very, very simple. Anything with graphics, icons, it does not pass through what over here we call the ATS, or the applicant tracking system. So keep it very simple, plain text, headers, and then bullet points under each section. I would say, 2 things about the resume that can really make a big difference. The first is whatever you put on your resume needs to be relevant to the job that you're applying for. Okay, so let's say you're applying for a project coordinator job. I don't really want to see over there experience that you've had in marketing or sales, right? I want to see, your project management skills and experience. And how do you decide what to put on there? The job description or the job posting is a very good guide. So look at that and see what are those hard skills that they're looking for. And then that's what you want to think about, how can I position myself to show that I have had experiences using those hard skills? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, it's not enough to just show them you have the relevant skills. You also have to show them, what have you achieved using those skills, right? So recruiters over here love to see results and outcomes, which means they want to see some numbers and quantifiable metrics. Okay, so if you say, Gary, that I worked on a project and this is what I did on the project, that's good because that shows me it's relevant. But now if Saurav submits the same resume and he says, I worked on 5 projects in the last 6 months with budgets of about 50 million, and I completed those projects on time, within budget, and 90% satisfaction ratings from clients, right? So a much more impactful bullet, and I would likely call Saurav in for the interview because he's given me he showcased his impact and his value. So I hope that helps.
So, Johan, I just want to ask one question, which is, I think, very important. So, suppose in Big Five you're working, so how, like, should I feel assurance for applying for, like, should I not worry for the PR or something like permanent residency in that scenario, or should I have some backup option too for that? Like, because like, I got a position for a staff accountant, and definitely for becoming a manager or maybe a senior level manager, they will ask like you have to do CP or something. So before that, will it work in my PR, or again should I see some other thing for that too? That was a question.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not an expert, Vaibhav, on immigration and requirements. I know though that the Big Four, Big Five do require a PR. In some cases, they let you work on having just a work visa. So I would check with the recruiter, right? And I would find out what their specific requirements are for that function. And if they require a PR, you don't have a PR, then there's no point of applying for that, because they will definitely want proof of your PR.
But this will help in getting a PR, right? In
Absolutely,
future. Yeah, that's
absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, most welcome. Gulnaz, I see you've raised your hand. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon. No, I was an architect back in my country for more than 10 years. And 4 years ago, I came to Canada, started working as an interior designer because I cannot work as like a registered architect here. So, my two previous jobs were, I had referrals. It took a while to find a job, but now I work on my resume. I check my resume, a lot of recruiters, my portfolio. I check all of the factors that I changed my resume based on the applications, based on the job posting, and it's more than 3 months that I'm searching for a job, and I cannot find anything. I got just a few interviews. I thought that my interviews was like good, but I don't know what's the problem that I cannot find job right now. I studied business here in Vancouver, and I graduated last year. After graduation, I started working full time for a company, and it was like a very basic work job. Now I want to have something professional, and I cannot find whatever I like to have. I don't know where's the problem.
Yeah, so it's hard to assess specifically, Gulnaz, without me looking at your applications or what you said in the interviews. But I would say ask for feedback, right? So in the applications where you got a rejection, if you can ask them, is there something in my profile that was missing, which disqualified me for the position? A lot of recruiters, they send you generic messages, they don't get feedback, but that's okay. You should do your part of asking them for feedback. And then the same goes for interviews as well. The fact that you're getting interviews is a very good sign, which means, I don't think there's too much wrong with your approach, with your resume. I would say, think back to the two jobs that you got, and you mentioned you got them through, people you knew, right? So spend less time on just applying for jobs, spend more time on, building your network, building those connections, especially in industries and companies that you want to work for. And I'm sure that your next opportunity will also come through, someone or someone you've connected with, who's given you the opportunity to interview at least. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't give feedback, and that's just the reality. This is where then you have to reflect and see, was there something that you said that, and you can kind of sense it, when you're interviewing, sometimes you can read the body language of the interviewer, and just ask them that I'm really trying to get a job in this role. So even if you can give me 1 or 2 sentences of transparent feedback, it will really help with my career. So if you position it this way, sometimes people are more open to sharing feedback.
Yeah, I also think, I'm not sure, are you asking follow-up questions at the end of your interviews? Like, usually we typically suggest about 3 to 5. Also, are you using the STAR method when you're answering interview questions? So I'm just wondering how structured those answers are. Like, I'm sure they're good, but maybe they're not kind of getting at exactly what the people want to hear that want to hire you. So that's kind of something to think about as well, to make sure that you're including like answers that have all the relevant skills that they want and things like that too.
I usually ask them at the end of the interview that, for example, are you hesitate about my skills or, my personality or whatever about, this position is good for a fit for me or not. But I haven't ever received any bad feedback, or they always are happy with my interview, but I don't know why. They never answer back, just tell me that you are not chosen or you are not a good fit, or they never
So
answer back.
definitely, yeah. So definitely one question that I would ask at the end is, when can I expect to hear back from you? I think that's going to be helpful too, because then you kind of have a sense as well, and they kind of have to give you an answer if you're there. So that's definitely one question that I would include as well.
Yeah, you could also ask, Gulnaz, do you have any reservations with regards to my candidacy for this role, right? Is there something about my profile, my skills that wouldn't make me a good candidate for this role? And this is sometimes where they may say, Gulnaz, we really like talking to you, everything looked good, but we were looking for a PMP and you don't have that. Or we were looking for more industry experience, but you didn't have that. Or we were looking for more specific answers and more results, but your answers were a little more generic, right? Or we were looking for someone who articulated their value and their experience better, right? It could be anything, but if you ask them specifically, is there anything that is holding you back from me proceeding on to the next round? Maybe try that and see if that works.
Sure, thank you.
But Yauhan, it won't make a negative impact. Like, suppose our interview was really good, and in the last, if we say like, do you feel like there's something missing or something? And if it's not missing, also in mind, something will pop up like maybe this guy has not, or maybe that lady has not done something well. If like, I just want to ask in general views, it won't make a negative impact even if like interview was really well in that scenario.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you position the question, right? If you ask like, was there anything missing from my profile, or, are there any red flags? Then of course you're diverting their mind to think that way. But if you just say that, I had a really good time talking to you today, and I really look forward to learning about next steps. Is there anything else I can share with you or tell you? If you position it that way, then I don't think there should be any issues. Laura, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's perfect. But yeah, I do definitely understand what you're saying though, when you're trying to figure out how to ask them that at the end. So definitely what Yauhan said makes a lot of sense, and just putting it in a positive way, and when can I expect to hear back from you, is a really good idea for sure.
You know what? This particular thing actually, what Laura is and Yauhan, like they have said already, like this question is very important to ask. When can I hear you back? Or else after giving interview, even the interview was good, even we feel like I don't know what is gonna happen at that time, and then we start sending mail. Okay, when can I follow-up or something like that. So exactly asking at the same time, like when can I hear you back? It's really great key, I can say. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can also say, when, just ask them, like, is there a specific day or date that I can expect to hear back from you? Is it going to be most likely later this week or early next week? And then, can you also help me understand next steps in the process? Right? That also shows that you are very interested and you are eager to move forward.
Thank you for this amazing session, I think, and it has really helped me and is gonna help me in future too. And thank you,
Yeah,
Yauhan
Vaibhav,
and
thank you so
Laura.
much for
Yeah.
your, active
Okay.
participation, sharing all of
Yeah.
your tips as
Thank
well
you.
earlier on.
Yes,
So really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
And I have tried to connect you both in LinkedIn, but I was not able to connect there because I think I can only follow there for Yauhan and
Really?
Laura. Yeah, I was not able to connect there. So only I can follow your profile. That's what in LinkedIn it was showing right now. But anyways,
Yeah.
the tips, what I feel in life is like earlier when I was child, someone was telling like you should learn some tips and all that is gonna help you in life. And right now that's what I'm understanding, and that's the reality actually. It's helping me out. So this was
Yeah.
the amazing tips which you I got. Thank you. And
Yeah,
I look
always
forward.
keep learning, always
Yeah,
keep, but learn from the right people.
exactly.
If you talk to 10 people, you may get 10 different ideas and
Oh,
perspectives. Use your own judgment to see what
yeah.
makes sense for you.
Thank
So
you
I
for
know when you have a certain amount of connections, it does just say you can either follow or whatnot. And I was having trouble with this as well. I think it's actually the third button. Just click it and you actually have a drop down and there are some options and it actually says connect. So just play around with it a little bit and you'll get to that point. But yeah, that's exactly what I was encountering too. So you should be able to connect with us that way.
May I ask
Yeah.
another question?
Sure.
Can we apply for the positions in the US?
Oh, we don't really know anything about that area at all, to be quite honest. We're very Canada focused.
Okay, thank you. And another question, can I go in person and hand in my resume in person to the company?
Yeah, so it kind of is something that depends as well, like because Yauhan was saying too, like not everyone is always on hand, especially with the pandemic. So like it's better for those like small businesses for sure, but for those larger ones, like you might walk into a building and there's like 1,000 people working there, and there's no one specifically in HR in recruiting ready to take your resume. So I would personally give them a call. And as Yauhan was saying too, I would specifically ask for the hiring manager. So when I was doing job developing for some of my clients, anytime I cold called any of the any like company or whatnot, I always ask just specifically for the hiring manager because it could be anyone, right? So it could be anyone in HR, it could be someone in operations that runs the company. So that's what I would suggest.
Right, thank you.
Yeah,
No
I
problem.
tried connecting with both of you. Thank you for that tip. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Okay,
know we've gone a little over 7 o'clock
But it was,
Eastern time, but
very fruitful and productive. That's what I'm telling session. Yeah. We have
yeah,
got it
thank you,
through.
Vaibhav, so much
Yeah. Thank
for
you for
again your
your
inputs
great.
as well. I think we can wrap it up if there are no additional questions. Thank you all so much for your time, for your participation. Very engaging session, lots of amazing questions. Please, you can always submit connect with Laura and I on LinkedIn as well, and you can always ask any other questions over there. Anything else, Laura, from your side before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so if we didn't answer every question that you kind of thought of or wanted to, we do run these career cafes every single month. So what I would suggest doing also is just jotting down what you also thought of or would have liked to have asked, and make sure that you get to the next one and definitely put it in the chat or just raise your hand and actually just say it as well. And we'll be able to get back to you then.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I
Thank you
think
so much.
there's just one final slide on the next events or upcoming events. Yeah, there we go. So not next week, but the week after that, or is it next week? It is next week. Next Wednesday, we have a workshop on targeting the career that's right for you. So I know a couple of you asked earlier, how do I navigate through different career options? So I would recommend attending this specific workshop for that career clarity. The week after that, we have an immigration lawyer joining us. So any immigration questions, PR, work visa, I'm sure they can assist with that. And then 2 sessions in December, one on careers in crypto, blockchain, and then one more on building your network, which I think is always an amazing session. Even if you have opportunities, even if you have interviews, always good to hear people's perspective on how they build networks.
So we have to register, like, again, we have to go in the Instagram and we have to register like that, or it's like
Yeah, I believe you have to go in and register. So
okay,
because
okay.
each one's a separate session.
And
Yeah.
is it Brian coming as a Canadian immigration lawyer? Is it Brian?
I'm not sure who it is, but if you go
Okay.
to this website that you see on the slide, they have the details.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much.
you again.
And good
It was
afternoon,
really
good evening,
amazing.
wherever
Thank
you
you.
are.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate you tuning in.
Yep. Thank you, Yauhan. Laura.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Most
you.
welcome. Bye.